Hello everyone. Today we are going to be discussing how you can shift into a parallel universe. How you can shift into a parallel viewpoint. First of all, we need to understand why we would ever do such a thing. Think about it this way, okay? Here is you. Right, this you makes 10,000 a month, or 1,000 a month. Either one doesn't really matter. Here's another you. This you makes 20,000 a month. Ow. Sorry, something happened to my wrist. Anyways, here's you. This is a you that makes 1,000 a month, and here's a you that makes 20,000 a month. Now, why am I showing you versions of you that seem to not exist? Because essentially there are multiple parallel universes which all have different versions of you. Here's normal you. Here is you as a doctor. What do doctors usually wear? Doctors usually wear like a cape or a robe, innit? Alright, here's you as a doctor. Imagine this is like a doctor robe. Yeah, I know it looks more like a cape. Sorry guys, but I'm trying my hardest here. Okay, yeah, I think that looks more like a robe. Here is you as a doctor. Here is you as a construction worker. Imagine that's a construction hat. Here is you as a fighter. Fighter. Sorry, the wires in the way, so it's a bit difficult for me to see. Anyways, here's you as a fighter. Now, these are all separate versions of you in parallel universes. Now, when it comes to identity shifting or manifestation or reality changing or reality creation, it becomes easier to conceptualize it when you don't view it as you literally changing the building blocks of your physical reality, where you're not literally moldering. Is that the right word? Moldering? I don't know if that's the right word. Like, you're not literally changing things. Like, you're not literally creating things. You are just shifting from one viewpoint to another. Okay, so essentially, here is the normal you. And the truth is, this normal you can become this doctor, or this construction worker, or this fighter, or this extremely wealthy businessman. Imagine that's a briefcase. Or this extremely wealthy businessman. Okay, and basically the concept of understanding, the reason why we understand this concept is it makes it easier for us to actually be able to shift, because let's be real, it's easier to view you going from one state to another from you being in one state and creating another. It's easier for you to go from one point that exists to another point that already exists, from you to go to one point that exists to then creating another point. So the idea is that there is an infinite amount of parallel universes with an infinite amount of different versions of you, and the only thing that differentiates you from these people, from these persons, these yous, is your viewpoint, your identity, what you view yourself to be. So Now, moving on. Actually, there's one more thing that I wanted to say. A lot of people like to say parallel universes is the reason behind why you experience deja vu. They're right. This you can do something which intersects with this other you. You both can do the same thing, and because you've, I guess, already experienced that event, remember that the mind does not have a concept of time. Alright? There is only the present. There is no past. There is no future. This means that your memories are within the present, within your mind. Obviously, within your subconscious mind. Obviously, within your conscious mind, you apply the context of it being in the past. But this is all. I'm straying off a bit. Let me get back to the main point. All right. So, cool. Essentially, there are parallel universes with different viewpoints of view, and it gets easier when you understand that what you're doing is simply shifting from one point to another, from one identity to another, from one viewpoint to another, from one frequency to another, from one perspective to another. Okay, so moving on. How can you do this? How can you do this? How can you shift from one identity to another? How can you shift from one viewpoint to another? So the key to this first comes from understanding that in order for you to go from this viewpoint where you, I don't know, what's something. Okay, I don't want to always use the context of money here because people don't always want money in life. Say you have confidence issues, right? You want to shift from this viewpoint to your other viewpoint, which has, it's a terrible bubble, which has no confidence issues, which is confident. Now, in order for you to switch from this viewpoint to this viewpoint, all you have to do is go to the midpoint, and in this midpoint it will be a viewpoint where you are nothing. What are you talking about, Nathan? What the fuck does that even mean? What do you mean you're going from a viewpoint to no viewpoint? You're going from having an identity to having no identity. What the fuck are you talking about, Nathan? What does that even mean, fam? Cool. I understand you're a bit confused, but let me explain, man. So, in order for you to shift from one viewpoint to another, it's not impossible, but it's easier if you go to a state of nothingness, to a state where you don't feel attached to anything or to anyone, or you don't feel as if, to the point where it's almost like you don't really have an identity. And then getting to that viewpoint or identity you want to get to. So, continuing this beautiful lecture of mine, how can we do this? How did I just do that? I didn't know I could do that. Anyways, how can we go from having a viewpoint to having no viewpoint to then having a viewpoint? It's all done through this simple word. This is a buzzword. You're all gonna, I don't know, your brains are gonna light up when you hear this word or see it. The word is meditation. Ta-da! I know. Anyone who naturally consumes content of this kind is just going to love this buzzword, meditation. Right, now, before you get it twisted, don't get it twisted. Before you get it misconstrued, don't get it misconstrued. Meditation is not the woo-woo bullshit that they've been selling you, alright? It's not the act of focusing on your breath. It's not the act of what else? It's not the act of emptying your mind. like having no thoughts. No, it's not that. What other stuff do they say? I think those are the only really two things that might be bullshit. Okay, focusing your breath isn't entirely bullshit, to be honest, but in this use case, it sort of is. Anyways, emptying your mind. No, let's be real. The mind thinks 6,000 to 90,000 thoughts a day. That is a fact. I believe you can search that up. It is not possible to completely empty your mind to the point where you're not thinking any thoughts. There is no... there's no fucking point in that. Okay. What meditation really is this. Imagine your thoughts like a boat, okay? Imagine your thoughts like a boat. Imagine the stick man is just a thought, alright? This boat is sailing on a river on the water, yeah? Usually when we think our thoughts don't get to flow fully past the river. They don't get to flow like that. And that is because this river is actually very, very shaky, alright? Very shaky. So the thoughts don't really get to flow because a huge wave comes in which sends the boat back to where it originally was, okay? And this huge wave could be anything. It could be any... Sorry about that, guys. This huge wave could be anything. It will be anything that stops you from focusing on that thought and letting it pass. Observing that thought and letting it pass. This will be something like anything that will distract you. It could be that you're thinking the thought, someone calls you. You're thinking the thought, oh, you have to do this. You're thinking the thought, or someone's calling you. Not calling you, but as in like saying your name. Someone in your house is saying your name, not as in someone's calling you over the phone, like I said previously. But yeah, you get the gist. All of these distractions, anything that protrudes to your five physical senses that distracts you, stops the thought from fully flowing past and stops you from allowing the thought to leave. So the thought, what happens is the thought keeps getting pushed back until it gets to a point where the thought is stuck all the way here. It's stuck here, okay? And because it's stuck there, the thought isn't able to flow through because these waves, they're too shaky, they're too strong, they keep pushing it back. Now, what meditation allows you to do? That's a large stick man, 1 second. What meditation allows you to do is to calm the waters. Now the waters are calm, so the thought can fully flow by. Because the mistake that a lot of people have is that they are their thoughts. No, you're not your thoughts. Really, your thoughts come to you based upon the vibration that you're tuned into. So, for example, say, cool, you're angry. When you're angry, what sort of thoughts are you thinking? Imagine this stick man's angry. Okay, no, this stick man is an angry one. Okay, imagine this stick man is angry. 1 second, let me just remove all of these arrows. Okay, cool. Imagine this stick man is angry. When you're angry, what sort of thoughts are flowing into your head? They're negative thoughts. Negative thoughts about, I don't know, let's think. Someone punched you in the face, or someone, I don't know, your friend took your credit card and paid for something without asking you. That's insane, by the way. Dealing that friend if they do that to you. Cut off that friend if they do that to you. Anyways, you're going to be angry at the person. I don't know, you're probably going to be insulting them in your head. You're probably gonna, I don't know, swear at them in your head. Probably gonna do it in real life too, but yeah, things of that nature. So the thoughts that you think are really all, imagine it like this. Imagine your mind is a radio. Jesus, this is a terrible radio, but imagine your mind is a radio, okay? Oh no, that's a calm radio. Imagine your mind is a radio, alright? This radio, not your mind. Your mind is connected to a radio, sorry. This radio has many different channels, alright? Many different channels, okay? This is the, I don't know, let me see, abundance channel. This is the hate channel. This is the scarcity channel. Right. Now, whatever channel you're in, also there is a calm channel as well. Like I said, there's always a neutral point. Say it's in the abundance channel. Whatever channel you're in determines the type of thoughts that you're going to be thinking. So if the thought that you think is one of abundance, say you're thinking about how there is an abundance of fruit on the trees, all right? How, yeah, it's a bit random, but say you're thinking about how on all of the trees, fruit will grow so much to the point where the tree can't even handle how much fruit is growing on it, so the apples will fall off the tree, okay? There's an example for you. Or think about how there is literally an infinite amount of money within banks, all right? The banks can print as much money as they want, all right? Or think about how scientifically there are electronical, is that the right word? Electronical? I'd say electric. There are electric transactions that are literally that are passing through you right now, which are basically money transactions, electric money transactions that are passing through your body right now, passing through your magnetic field right now. Okay, just anything that aligns with abundance. Now, hate. The type of thoughts you're going to think within the hate channel will be, oh, that guy who just walked past me, he looked at me some way. Why is he looking at me like that? What's wrong with it? Oh, thingy. That guy who commented on my video. Why is he commenting on my video? Why is he saying that on my video? Why is he commenting that hate comment on my video? Now say you're in the channel of scarcity, you'll be thinking it's like, there's not enough money to go around, man. I'm losing so much money, I need to get this money, bro. Or I'm so poor, or I'm just so broke, or bro, I really can't lose this partner even if they're treating me terribly, because I'll never be able to find another one again. Or I really can't lose this friend even if they're treating me terribly, because I'll never be able to find another friend again. These are all thoughts that are within these channels. You get what I'm saying? So depending upon which channel you're tapped into is the type of thoughts that you're going to think. All right. And like I said, there's probably an infinite amount of channels, or a multitude amount of channels. Okay. So these thoughts, yeah, you get them from the other. I'm not going to really go into detail about what the other is, but you just get your thoughts from the other. Okay. Because there's no point to do that. That doesn't really help with relationship creation. It doesn't really help with self-mastery. It doesn't help with none of that shit. Alright, cool. Now, moving on. Like I already said, meditation, the point of meditation is to allow your thoughts to flow. Correct? So, what allows your thoughts to flow is you observing your thoughts. Also, the reason why a lot of people struggle to sleep at night is because they don't meditate. Because they don't meditate, they don't allow their thoughts to pass. And when it gets to nighttime and they can't sleep, their thoughts are just trying their hardest. They're all just rampaging their way through, just trying their hardest to finally flow through you, finally flow out of you. You get me? Because when you allow yourself to observe your thoughts without judgment. Sorry, I need to make sure you guys know it's without judgment. Then the thoughts can flow through. When you don't hate the thoughts, you don't like the thoughts, you just let them be. Just let them be thought, and then let them flow, let them pass. Don't hold on to it, don't attach onto the thought, just let it go. Let it be, then let it go when it's just time for it to go. That's all the meditation is. Okay, now you should be doing this for about, I'd say, do it for about 15 minutes. And what you can do is you can also make sure that you are sitting still or laying still when you do this, because the easier it is for you to command yourself, the easier it will be for you to change your life. Okay? Because a lot of people, believe it or not, do not have the ability to sit still or lay still for more than 5 minutes even, or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, because as we've been growing up from young, we've been conditioned to be constantly moving, to be in constant motion. That's not it. That's not it, man. That is not it. The key here is to be still. All right. Now, this is how you go from having a viewpoint to having no viewpoint. Now, how do we get to this, buddy? How do we get to the desired viewpoint? All right, which in this case is being a confident person. Okay. Now, say if you're not a confident person, it's usually because confidence is derived from either having an achievement or just having something that other people desire, whether that be having a lot of money, being attractive, having a good physique, being intelligent. So I'm just gonna derive it down. I'm just gonna pin it down to one of these desires. Let's say okay, let's say being respected, because being respected can give someone confidence. Approval can give someone confidence. Okay, let's say being respected / a lot of people showing approval for you or whatever. What you're gonna do now that you've reached this point of nothingness, this point of an identityless state, is shift towards the desired state. Identityless, desired state. Okay. How are you going to shift it to your desired state? Because you've already gone to the identityless state, right? Where you're just the observer, you're just observing your thoughts, etc., and you've allowed all your thoughts to flow and to pass. You will know that you reached a similar state to the identityless state when you are deeply relaxed, because when you are deeply relaxed, you're in the theta state. Now, the theta state just refers to one of the 4 brainwave states. First, you have the alpha state. This is when you are wide awake. Next, you have the beta state. This is the slightly relaxed or meditative state. After the beta state, you have the most important state, the theta state. See how I literally just, the theta state. The theta state is when you are deeply relaxed and in a deeply meditative state. In the theta state, you are going to feel extremely limp. Like, your body's going to feel extremely limp. You may even feel a bit drowsy, a bit tired, but you don't want to feel too drowsy or too tired, because if you feel extremely tired and extremely drowsy, you'll be way too close to the final state, which is the delta state. The delta state, you're literally just asleep. And if you're too close to the delta state, you won't be able to think clearly. You won't be able to consciously think clearly. All right, because you're too close to falling asleep. All right. Now, the theta state is when you're deeply relaxed and you're chilling, properly chilling, like extremely relaxed. You can get into the theta state either sitting or laying down. I don't know if I already said this, but when you do this whole thing, you should be doing it sitting or laying down in a position that is comfortable to you. If you're someone who falls asleep, you can fall asleep on a chair, then what you're going to have to do is sit in a manner where you can't fall asleep. This might be sitting in sitting cross-legged on the floor, or the last piece of the woo bullshit that they put online, that you have to sit in a full lotus position. You don't have to sit like that, alright? That's just, I don't know, you don't have to sit like that. I don't know who made that shit up. You don't have to sit like that. But it can be useful in the use case of you also practicing controlling yourself, practicing domination over your ego. Your ego can be referred to as 4 other things by 4 different cultures. Your ego can be referred to as whatever labels you want. Alright, whatever labels you want. I'm just going to say the 4 main cultures or belief structures that everybody knows. Alright, first, the Buddhists. The Buddhists called your ego the monkey mind. Religious people call it the devil. What else? Modern scientists call it the primal brain. There's one last one. Spiritual people call it the lower self. Okay? Oh. Alright, buddy. Calm down. Accidentally hit my mic, guys. Sorry about that. Anyways. Yeah, moving on. You need to make sure you're sitting or laying down in a comfortable position, and if you cannot do that without falling asleep, then you have to make sure you're sitting in a position which is at least semi-comfortable to the point where you're not in pain, but also not comfortable enough to the point where you can fall asleep. Okay, so yeah, when you have gotten to this identity state, you're also going to be in a theta state. All right, and the reason why we want to get into the theta state is because the theta state is when your subconscious mind is most impressionable. Alright? So when your subconscious mind is most impressionable, and when your subconscious mind is most impressionable, basically means it's easier to get things in your inner world. Okay, it's easier for you to get things into your subconscious mind. All right. This is why when you watch the news, this is why when you wake up in the news, it is usually in the morning when they play when they put on the negative news, and then later on in the day where they put on the positive news. They put on that negative news, it goes into your subconscious mind, gets you feeling terribly, your day's ruined. But that's a conversation for a whole nother day, which is probably never gonna happen on this YouTube channel, because it's just never gonna happen. Anyways, moving on. The theta state is when your subconscious mind is most impressionable. So once we get into the state, we can then begin this process of shifting to our little desired state here. And how we do this is by abusing the fact that your subconscious mind cannot distinguish itself from itself. Cannot just wait. What am I talking about? Sorry about that, guys. I lost complete track of what I was writing. It cannot distinguish reality from imagination. Here is an example. All right, think of a loved one. Okay. Yeah, think of a loved one. Yeah. I want you to think about them for like 2 to 3 minutes. Pause this video. Think about them for 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Think about this loved one. Think about how much you love them. Think about the things that they've done for you. Think about how they treat you, how they care for you, how they raise you if it's a parent or guardian or older sibling. How they've taught you so much if it's a teacher or mentor. How they've come through for you in tough times if it's a good friend. Or how they've loved you if it's your partner, if it's your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Just think about them for 3 to 5 minutes. Pause this video, think about them for 3 to 5 minutes. If you don't, the exercise isn't going to be as effective. After you've done that, now that you've done that, oh yeah, and I want you to don't set the fucking timer. Don't set the fucking timer. Anyways, now that you've done that, imagine their grave. The grave that is inevitable, because everybody is eventually going to die. Imagine their grave. Yeah, that doesn't feel good, does it? It doesn't feel good at all. That is probably because, like I said, your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between your imagination and your reality. No, calm down. This does not mean that you just, this does not mean that you've just manifested your partner dying. It doesn't work like that. We're not that, like, we can't do that. Alright, you're chilling, bro. You're chilling. Alright, now, it's just an exercise to show you, people say the best teacher sometimes is experience, instead of someone just telling you about something. Like, it's easier for someone to tell you, it's easier for you to learn about how strawberry tastes by actually tasting it, rather than hearing somebody tell you how strawberry tastes. You get me? So, yeah. Moving on. We're abusing the fact that the mind cannot distinguish between imagination and reality. So, because the mind cannot distinguish between imagination and reality, we are going to do what I'd like to call an imaginative reality simulation. Boom. An imaginative reality simulation. Now, I'll be real, this is just a buzz phrase for the word visualization. Okay, it is simply visualizing a scene in your head, which basically perpetuates the idea of you becoming the person that you wanted to be, or you achieving the thing that you wanted to be. Actually, it is you becoming the person that you wanted to be, because in its core essence, you become something in order to gain something. You become something in order to achieve something. The person who makes $1 million a month is a different person to the version of themselves that makes 10,000 a month. They do different things. They be different. They are different. those two versions of you are different. So, this imaginative reality simulation, the reason why I like to call it this is because visualization takes on the context of it being you just literally visualizing an image rather than literally taking the internal over the external to the point where you're delusional. Alright, what I mean by to the point where you're delusional, if you look at anyone who's achieved any level of excellency or success, why did I say that? Or excellency or success, they were once called delusional, at least once, by someone. If they didn't say it, they have been. Okay, they've been called delusional. Someone's ridiculed them for I feel like I'm not saying these words correctly. Someone's ridiculed them sorry, for following this path. Someone's made fun of them for taking that path, saying, oh, that's never going to work, or oh, they're not smart enough to do that, or they're not strong enough to do that, or they're not this to do that. You get what I mean? Okay, and here is something that you must definitely take away from this video if you don't want to take away anything else. It does not matter how many people or who does not believe in what it is you are striving for, what it is you are aiming to become, or the person that you're trying to be, or what it is that you're trying to gain, as long as you yourself believe in it with full conviction. And when I say believe, I'm not talking about actual believing, because usually belief allows for the possibility of doubt. It leaves space for doubt. I'm talking about knowing. I'm talking about perceiving it as literal fact. When you perceive it as literal fact, it's akin to turning off a light switch off and on. It's akin to turning your computer off and on. When you press that power button, you know with 100% certainty that whatever it is that has the power button on it is going to turn on. You know, when you press that switch for the light, you know 100% that light is going to turn on. You deem it as fact. You barely even think about it. The same way, when you push down on that door handle and you push it, you know that door's moving. There's no doubt in your mind. That is what I'm talking about. You have to have that level of conviction. And at the end of the day, as long as you have that level of conviction, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter what your parents think. It doesn't matter what your siblings think. It doesn't matter what your friends think. It doesn't matter what people on the internet think. As long as you yourself have 100% conviction in it, that is all that matters. Now, as I was saying, imaginative reality simulation. This is literally encompassing the idea of the internal over the external being the effect and the internal being the cause. Okay, so the scene is going to be 5 seconds long max. You do not want it to be any longer than that, because you want to make something that can easily be looped. You don't want to overuse, you don't want to overwork your mind, okay? You don't want to overwork your mental faculties. This scene is going to be a family member or a loved one, someone you know, congratulating you for what you've achieved. Someone who would genuinely be happy for you to have achieved it. If you can't think of anyone, then the scene can simply just be you achieving it. Because the reason why I say somebody congratulating you is because when it comes to the imaginative reality simulation, it is much better than just a visualization. Because with the imaginative reality simulation, I'm just going to call it the IRS for short, you are utilizing your ego. And what I mean by your ego is your 5 physical senses: your taste, your sight, your touch, your smell, your hearing. And because you're utilizing these 5 physical senses, it is literally much easier to believe. And when I say believe, I'm saying know. To get to that point where you know you are this person, where you know you have achieved that thing. So, utilize the 5 physical senses, or you don't have to use all of the 5 senses. 3 is enough, 2 is enough, just more than one. because you can overwork your mental faculties by trying to use all 5 physical senses. Or a loved one congratulating you. See, just anything that uses the 5 physical senses. Loved one congratulating you is literally just an example of using sight and touch, because chances are, I don't know, say if your boy or your sister or your brother, whatever, congratulated you for something you achieved, they probably either dap you up, give you a hug, and probably say congratulations to you. You'll probably say, wow, I can't believe you've done this, or wow, you've really done this, I'm proud of you, etc. You're literally utilizing 3 senses there: sight, touch, and hearing. Those are 3 senses used very easily. Now, you want to loop it until you feel no emotion. You want to loop it until you feel no emotion. And you want to keep looping it. How you want to loop it is, you want the scene to go on, and then you want the screen to like black out. Not the screen, sorry, the scene to black out a little bit. And then it starts again. And then it goes again. But also, whilst you're doing this, if you make any changes in your mind or within your scene, and it sort of maybe differs a bit from this path a tiny bit, that doesn't matter, because the key here is your conviction. All right, so it doesn't matter even if you stray a little bit from the normal path of doing this, from this path that I'm laying out here. As long as it is within the same concept, it has the same core concept, where it is abusing the fact that your mind cannot distinguish between imagination and reality. And as long as you believe, when I say believe, I'm going to say it again. When I say believe, I'm not talking about the belief of trusting in something. I'm talking about the belief of knowing, where it's a fact. As long as you know that it is working for you, because conviction is key. Without conviction, none of this shit works. None of it works. You are the placebo. Without the conviction, none of this shit works. All right. So you are going to do this, and even if you stray a bit off, keep that path that you strayed onto. Or if you want to go back to that path that you strayed onto. As long as there is conviction within what you are doing, it is working. So let yourself know that it's working. Tell yourself, know that it is working. Because conviction is really the potion that gets the food cooking. You get me? It's really the oil that gets the egg sizzling. You get me? Calm. So yeah, do this imaginative reality simulation. 5 seconds long max. 5 physical senses are being used. Any of the 5 physical senses. Can try 2, can try 3, whichever is best for you. As long as it's more than 1. Loop until you feel no emotion. Loop until it begins to feel like you're forcing it. Okay. Once it begins to feel like you're forcing it, stop. Now, after you've done this, you're not quite done yet. You haven't fully shifted to this next viewpoint. You haven't fully shifted to it yet. What you've done here is you have planted the seed. I can draw a better seed than that, surely. You have planted the seed, okay? And what you need to do now is you need to water that seed. Imagine that as water drops, and this is the seed. You need to water that seed in order for that seed to eventually grow and bloom into a flower. Now, how you can water this seed is simply by thinking from the end. Thinking from the end is thinking as if what you have done is... by thinking that what you have imagined has already happened. Now that you've thought it, regardless of what the external shows you, regardless of what your physical world or your physical life is showing you, that it has been done. Okay, and cool. You've heard the buzzword manifestation multiple times, and people think it is something which it isn't. Okay. Here are the lists. People think manifestation is wanting something and getting it. People think it is changing your reality. People think it is what else? Making something pop out of thin air. Nah, buddy. What manifestation really is no longer being emotionally dependent upon seeing whatever it is you desire manifest. That is simply what it is. It is no longer being emotionally dependent upon seeing whatever it is you desire manifest. And what do you mean, Nathan? Well, what are you talking about? What I mean is, you're no longer dependent on. Oh, what the fuck? Did I zoom in or some shit? You know, why is that so large? Sorry guys, I don't know how that happened. That doesn't matter. You're no longer dependent on seeing it in the external. Right? You no longer care about that. You no longer know, because you already know that you have it internally. Now, do you see what I mean? Where I'm saying you literally have to be delusional. Where you literally don't care for the fact that maybe you can't physically touch it, but you can physically touch it because within your imagination you can feel it. And you see what I mean? I say you have to prioritize the internal over the external. Now, this does not mean if the desire is 10,000 a month and you're currently on, I don't know, 5,000 a month or 1,000 a month, go and take out a loan and buy something you wouldn't be able to buy, and buy something you'd only be able to buy if you had 10,000. That's not what I'm fucking saying. All right, that's not what I'm telling you. Nobody do that. All right, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, internally, you feel as if you already have that 10,000 a month. Okay. Internally, you feel as if you already have become that confident person. Internally, you feel as if you no longer rely on other people's approval. Internally, you feel as if you're better now, you've got a good physique. That is literally all it is. That's all what manifestation is. It is no longer being emotionally dependent upon seeing whatever it is you desire manifest. Now, that is why you must think from the end, because thinking from the end, the imaginative reality emulation, the meditation you do to get to the point where the imaginative reality simulation is much more effective. All those three things are literally just what you use to get to a different identity, to a different viewpoint. Now, what is an identity made out of? What is it constructed of? Because if we can go down into that, we can literally self-examine ourselves and understand if we are actually shifting towards that point. Cool. Our identity consists of these things. First, you have your attention. The order doesn't matter. How important all of them are, they are all of equal importance. Your attention. What is it you focus on? Do you think rich people are out there focusing on all the poverty within the world? Do you think a trader that makes 5 figures a month is focused on, I don't know, celebrity gossip, celebrity drama? Like, let me think. What's happened recently? I don't know. I don't even know what's happened recently, but you get what I mean. Or he's on TikTok all day. Do you think? Okay, sorry, not do you think. Next, your perception. How do you view the world or people? How do you view the world or people? Do you think you would have that same perception? Do you think someone who's making 10,000 a month would have the perception that there are no opportunities in life? He would have the perception that there is no money to be made, there is no opportunities, money is very difficult to come by. You're emotionally convicted thoughts. See how I said before, you are not your thoughts. You simply observe them. See, now that can be a bit of a half-truth, because the thoughts that you apply a strong amount of emotion to are the thoughts which have the most power. That is why I said you must think from the end, because when you're thinking from the end, you cannot just be thinking from the end and you're not feeling anything. You have to actually feel the emotion that comes along with the thought. Because emotion is simply just energy in motion. That energy, when given a consistency, not given a consistency, when consistency is applied to that energy, that emotion, that energy then becomes a single vibration. And then when that energy, which has become a single vibration, is giving more consistency, when more consistency is applied to it, it then becomes a frequency. I know you've heard all about on social media where people will say, oh, that's low vibrational or that's high vibrational. When they're talking about vibrations and things of that nature, a lot of the time on social media it's just about bullshit. Like, people will say that if you're not eating, I don't know, alkaline meals, you're low vibrational. If you're not eating a veg-only diet, you're low vibrational. If you're eating meat, you're low vibrational. If you're going out, having fun, smoking, having sex, drinking, you're low vibrational. Nah, not really. That's not how it really works. When it comes to vibration, Dr. David Hawkins, one second, let me just check if that's actually his name. Where's my phone? Alright, I don't know where my phone is right now, but I think that's his name. Anyways, you're probably going to see a image on the screen that I will have edited into the video. But Dr. David Hawkins, forgive me if I'm saying his name incorrectly, was a man who literally measured consciousness. He found out what vibrational frequency the different emotions had. Okay, when it comes to vibration, what really matters is, yes, everything has a vibration. This is corroborated by science. This mouse here has a vibration. My hand has a vibration. This PS5 controller has a vibration. This is because if you want to go down into the nitty-gritty, I'm just going to simplify it. Within atoms have electrons. Electrons are constantly spinning, constantly moving, vibrating, to the point where everything's vibrating. Yeah, that's really it, to be honest. Blah, 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 blah. That's really it. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. Everything has a vibration. All the time when people are saying, oh, that's low vibrational, that's high vibrational, they're a bit confused, they're a bit befuddled, all right? The only vibrations that really matter are the ones that are within you, your emotions, okay? Your emotions, when applied to certain thoughts, when applied to certain things, the vibration that is given to a thought is what gives the thought power. That's why a lot of the time people, they will say, this would have been said to you if you're a religious person, they'll say that the tongue is powerful, etc. but that's also a bit of a half-truth. It is only powerful if what you're saying is something you believe with 100% conviction. If it is something that has a strong amount of emotion applied to it. If it is something that has no emotion to apply to it, or even doubts to apply to it, it is doing the reverse or having no effect. That is why I personally say affirmations are bullshit. Because cool, words are great and all, but they're only great when applied with consciousness. Consciousness is key here. Consciousness is much more powerful than words, evidently, because you know what I've just explained. Anyways, like I was saying, emotionally convicted thoughts. This is why you want to think from the end. Now, what's next? Your reactions. What do you mean by your reactions, Nathan? I mean by what you genuinely react to. I mean how you respond to circumstances or events that aren't really in alignment with the identity that you want to have. Whether you accept it for what it is and take that within your identity and still perpetuate that old you that you don't want to be, that viewpoint that you don't want to be, or you respond to an event or a circumstance or something happening in your reality by simply shifting your perspective of it to the perspective of what your desired viewpoint would have, if that makes sense. So your desired viewpoint would definitely have a different perspective or a different reaction, or actually respond to the experience that occurs or the circumstances or the event that happens in a different manner to the current you. The parallel you would respond differently to the current you. The parallel you that you want to become will respond differently to the current you. Your attention, your perception, your emotionally convicted thoughts, your reactions, your beliefs. Now, when it comes to beliefs, this also coincides with your perception. When it comes to your beliefs, a lot of people think your beliefs are like the thoughts that you're constantly thinking, which they are. The thoughts that you're constantly thinking with emotion can help you, find out what your beliefs are, because everyone thinks that they know their beliefs. When I'm talking about beliefs, I'm talking about like beliefs about the world, money beliefs, people beliefs, whether you believe you're a lucky person or you're a blessed person, whether you believe you're an unfortunate person or an unlucky person or a cursed person, whether you believe money comes easily or whether you believe money comes difficultly, or whether you believe money doesn't come at all, or just your belief system. Okay, when it comes to your beliefs, people think, like I said, people usually take the viewpoint of, not the viewpoint, but take the action of looking at your thoughts. But really, when it comes to beliefs, all it really takes to understand what type of beliefs you have is to look at your life. You can easily tell how someone thinks or what someone is thinking by the life that they live. And cool, this may sound harsh or, I don't know, rude. It may sound rude, but that is simply how it is. Because if you control your life, if you dictate your life, then surely your life is how it is because of you. That is something that you need to accept. That is a responsibility that you need to take on. You can't victimize yourself fully. I'll probably make a video about that soon, about how you are kind of sort of a victim, but you also aren't. But you can't victimize yourself fully, okay? Now, with this in mind, is there anything you've noticed? Because if you've been paying extra attention, super focused, super duper, super saiyan, ultra instinct type attention, you would realize that these things coincide within each other. What I mean by that is, by purely shifting one, you will probably shift the others. Due to the truth of quantum entanglement, which is the idea that what is alike attracts what is alike. Which is why when you shift from an identity to another, you attract what is alike with that identity. Quantum entanglement goes down to atoms, where atoms that are like joined up together. Okay, an atom that is in one edge of the universe will slowly attract itself to an atom that is in another edge of the universe until they get to the same point. That is seen here. Think about it. If your beliefs change from you thinking that money comes easily, change from you thinking that money comes difficultly or doesn't come at all to money comes easily, your perception and your attention will change. Your perception will change in the idea that you will think that there is an abundance of opportunities in the world. And because you think there's an abundance of opportunities in the world, your attention will look for the opportunities. Your brain literally has something called the reticular activating system. This system literally filters out information according to your beliefs. Like I've said before, science corroborates mental science. It corroborates mental architecture. It corroborates consciousness. It's playing a game of catch up with science, really. It's playing a game of catch up. Science is playing a game of catch up with mental science. Anyways, like I was saying, all of these coincide. Because your belief will be that money comes easily, your perception will change to there being an abundance of opportunities to gain money. Your attention will make you focus on the abundance that is available, that you will see. Your information will literally be filtered out so that you're only seeing those opportunities. Your emotionally convicted thoughts will be those of, okay, money's coming easily. Okay, it's not gonna be too hard to get to this amount a month. Or okay, I'm at this amount a month. Your reactions, you're going to respond instead of reacting to, money droughts, to your bank account being low. You're going to respond instead of reacting. It all coincides. It all is basically the same thing. It all coincides, okay? So by working on one or working on two, you allow for the others to flow in much easier. It's the same way that when you're thinking positively, when you're feeling positive, when you're feeling positive emotions, it is much easier for other positive emotions to get to you. When you're thinking negative emotions, it is much easier for negative emotions to come towards you. When you're frustrated, isn't it much easier for you to get angry when you're frustrated? And doesn't situations happen that only cause you to get more frustrated when you're frustrated happen? For example, say, you're pissed off because you're having an argument with your partner. Now say after you've had this argument, you shout at them and you walk out the door and your hoodie or your shirt gets tugged on the door handle. And now you're even more pissed. Or you try to close the door, but it's not closing. You try to close the door, but it's not closing. And now you're even more pissed. The emotional state that you're in will be perpetuated more to put you into that emotional state more. When you're calm, things will happen that will make you more calm. When you're angry, things will happen that you make you more angry. When you're happy, things will happen that will make you more happy. Are you getting what I'm saying here? Things that are alike attract things that are alike. Quantum entanglement, baby. That's all it is. Quantum entanglement, baby. You get me? Yeah, quantum entanglement. Yeah, what you saying? You saying quantum, bro? That's all it is. That's all it is, man. And yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. Like I said, focus on these things. When it comes to identity, break up what an identity is. Now focus on these things. This is how you review yourself. After your day has been done, and after you have, done the technique that I showed you in order to go from an identity, from your current identity to your desired identity, from your current identity to no identity to your desired identity, sorry. Break it down. Examine yourself. Your attention, what were you focusing on? Your perception, how were you viewing the world or people? Your emotionally convicted thoughts, what type of thoughts were you thinking with the most emotion? Your reactions, what were you reacting to, and were you responding or reacting? Your beliefs, what did you experience? Literally, that is it. That is a way you can, I guess, sort of see how you're doing, in a way. And once you realize what it is you place your attention to, where your perception was going, the emotionally convicted thoughts, if it didn't go in accordance with the identity, that is fine. But what you must do is also write down what it would be if it was in accordance with that identity, and perpetuate that yourself so that it begins to perpetuate itself. Wow, I'm really cooking right now. Fucking hell, this might be my best video yet. It's only getting better from now on, baby. You feel me? Anyways, like I was saying, yeah, that is really it for today's video. And yeah, thanks guys. I'll see you later. Bye.